good, Detroit Sports Nation? I am Eric Vincent, your host here at the DSN News Desk, back again to chop it up with you, the best fan base in the world. I appreciate your time and support. Here to talk a little Detroit basketball as the Pistons just wrapped up their first road game of the regular season against the New York Knicks. Didn't really go how they expected and wanted at Madison Square Garden with a final score of 130-106. So if you had 82-0 penciled in as your prediction after opening night, time to throw that out the window. Sorry, guys. I know we all had a great time with opening game against the Orlando Magic, and we all had high expectations after that. But reality is this. We're going to see some games like what we saw against the Magic. But we're also going to see a lot of games like what we saw tonight. Again, 130-106 is the final score. And I don't even want to say it was a lot, but it was really just seemed like a few deficiencies, a few big deficiencies within this team that were really highlighted on display. And obviously, it starts with the defense. Letting up 130 points against anybody, you're probably going to end up on the losing column of that. And Pistons just had a problem. I mean, they let up, again, exactly what we talked about in preseason. 62 points in the paint against the Knicks, and they allowed them to shoot 42% from three as well. Every time it seemed like the Pistons were trying to go on a run, the Knicks would come right back with some crushing threes, breakaway dunk by Obi Toppin, a drive from Julius Randle. They just seemed to just take the sail out of all of the Pistons' momentum pretty quickly whenever they tried to get on a little bit of a run. It was a 20-point game at halftime, and it never really seemed to get any much closer than that throughout the game. So even looking at what the Knicks did, again, the defense was not good by the Pistons tonight, allowing 6 different players in the Knicks roster to score in double figures, and they were all pretty efficient for the most part, too, when you look at it. Emmanuel Quigley was their leading scorer with 20 points, 8 of 14 when he was coming off the bench as well, 3 of 8 from 3. Going back to the starters, you look at RJ Barrett, 18 points, 8 of 15. Jalen Brunson, 17 points, 6 of 11 from the field. Julius Randle, 15 points, 5 of 12 from the field, but he was 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Drives me crazy. I didn't know he was a shooter like that, but whatever. Here we are. Obi Toppin, again, 16 points, 7 of 12 from him. And even Derrick Rose, 13 points, 4 of 6 from the field. A lot of very efficient shooting, and it seemed like the Pistons just couldn't do anything with it. Every single time the Knicks wanted to make a play, they did. If they wanted to swing the ball and find an open shooter, they were able to do that. It was a lot of shots that were contested by the Pistons. They played tight on a couple shots, but for whatever reason, it seemed like the Knicks just couldn't miss. And it wasn't their night for the Pistons, and for whatever reason, it kind of translated offensively as well. The starters, looking at the box score alone, it would seem and give the indication that they weren't that bad. 26 points from Saddiq Bey really shook off the rough start that he had in opening night. 9 of 15 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, grabbed 7 boards, and he's finally, I don't want to say finally, but he's doing what I've been wanting to see him do a lot more consistently, because from what we've seen since last season, Saddiq has tried to add different things to his game. He's tried to show that he can also drive, that he can pass, that he can be more than a 3-and-D spot-up guy. That's fine if you want to add to your game, but don't let it come to the sacrifice of what you're best at and what the team needs you to do. And considering the lack of shooting, of consistent shooting on this team, Saddiq needs to become as reliable as possible as a knockdown shooter. And looking at a lot of the buckets that he did get, came off of a lot of passes to the perimeter from the guards. So a lot of isolation from a Cade and Ivy, where he would find Saddiq open in the corner for a 3, where he was shooting right away, not holding the ball, not dribbling unnecessarily for 10 seconds off the shot clock. He was going right up with the ball. And that's Saddiq's game. Even when he has a hand in his face, Saddiq has a very quick release. He doesn't get a whole lot of lift on his shot, but he lets it go pretty quickly off of his wrist and his fingertips. So if he continue just honing in on being that consistent shooter, the other things will come in together. His ability to crash and cut and drive and isolate will come when the respective his three-point shot is there. And with his inefficiencies and his waves of shooting, I want to see him work on that a little bit more. But I was very encouraged with what I saw tonight. So good job, Saddiq Bey. Bojan Bogdanovic, 18 points for him. Didn't really shoot a whole lot. 7 of 9 from the field. Cade and Ivy, 6 of 12 for 17 points. Cade Cunningham, 15 points, Not a very efficient day again for Cade. 6 of 16 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. Turned the ball over 4 times. And listen, I know it's still early in Cade's career, and I try not to jump to like great conclusions. I really try not to, guys. But I remember Cade shooting 40% from college. We all remember that, right? Oklahoma State came out. He was more so there, like, as we see as the Pistons, he's the floor general of the team. But at Oklahoma State, he was their go-to scorer, and he was hitting at an efficient clip from college and shooting a lot of threes from NBA range, showing the potential to be a good shooter. I'm not saying I'm mad at John Beilein after he was working with his shot last offseason, but I got some questions, man. I got some questions. I'm really getting frustrated seeing Cade struggle with his three. I really am. 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Really, it just didn't seem comfortable with it. He hasn't seemed comfortable with his shot since he became a pro, honestly. At least from the three-point range. Mid-range, he's still settling into that. We know that's his sweet spot with his jumper. But with his three, it just seems like he can't get his rhythm back. And that's just it's bothering me a little bit. But, again, it's a long season, second game. We're not going to make too much out of it. Isaiah Stewart, he was the hero of the opening night game with the huge three that he shot from the corner to ice the game to win. A little more quiet today, only 8 points, did get 10 rebounds, and really made a lot of plays. In terms of defensively, sometimes actually. He had a couple nice shots at the rim where he was able to get a couple blocks and make a couple plays in the perimeter as well, switching out on guards. So we know the versatility for Beast2 is there as a defender, and we saw a little bit of that glimpse today. Cade and Ivy also want to go back and talk about, because while he had 17 points and still showed a bit of that explosiveness with a couple dunks and some nice drives to the hoop, his passing is really what was on display today. He had 4 passes in the first quarter and assists where he was throwing lobs to Beast2. He threw a couple dimes to Sadiq on the wing to get him a shot. I think he threw another one to Bogey on the wing where he was able to get him a triple. He is very underrated as a playmaker. He's getting a lot of pub, and I think a lot of people pushed back on the Ja Morant comparison because they said he wasn't a passer like Ja, because he didn't have the see and the feel of a point guard like Ja. I'm not so sure about that. Again, it's too early to make grand conclusions, but I think it's unfair for what people were saying that knack is not there, because we see some really good playmaking from Cade and Ivy in the open floor, in half-court sets, and pick and roll. He's doing it in a variety of ways that I've been extremely impressed with, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. So shout out to Cade and Ivy. Jalen Duren, a little bit more of a quiet game, 8 points, 10 rebounds. Again, a walking double-digit rebound guy. He is very active on the glass. Wasn't able to be as aggressive as he wanted to be early in the game after picking up 2 early fouls. And again, as a big in this league, you're going to have to learn to control that. And he will. He'll tone in on it. Again, he's 18 years old, the youngest player in the NBA. He's going to be able to work on that and get some time. Now, we talked about the Knicks bench and how their depth was able to make an impact in this game. The lack of depth from the Pistons was really what took this team out of the lineup. Like, they didn't really get any kind of contribution from their bench. Again, 8 points from Jalen Duren was their leading scorer off the bench. Hamidou Diallo, 4 points, 1 of 5. Killian Hayes, 1 point, 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3, 4 fouls. Kevin Knox, that acquisition doesn't look like it was worth it at all. And he got a 2-year deal, 1 of 6 from the field, only 2 points. He doesn't look like to be much of a difference maker. Corey Joseph, 0 of 1, only took 1 shot, didn't really do much outside of that. The Pistons are really, really missing not just Marvin Bagley, but Isaiah Livers for sure in terms of defense and his ability to be a spot-up shooter from distance. Alec Burks is another huge miss in terms of health and the depth of this roster. Unfortunately, according to Dwayne Casey, we don't have a timeline yet for Livers or Burks, unfortunately. But you can tell that this team is really missing him. Killian is not... He's not what we saw in the preseason. He's not the same. I don't want to say he's not aggressive, because he's still aggressive. He's still putting up shots, but he's just missing them badly. He really is struggling to get a rhythm. And the Pistons need, if anybody could get that bench unit going, it has to be a guard. It's not going to be Jalen Duren, because you're not running plays for him on the block to score. You're not giving him the ball with his back to the basket to go score like Joel Embiid. That's not his game right now. And honestly, every other player on the bench, Hamidou Diallo, like, he's not an isolation guy. He's a cutter. He's an off-ball player who takes his opportunities, sporadically. These aren't players that you run plays for. So you're really seeing the lack of talent in the bench unit with this team, especially when their three most important guys, Marvin Bagley included, they're all hurt. And as of right now, there's no timeline for them to come back. So that's going to be a big thing that this team is missing right now. And that's exactly what we saw on display. Again, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't like they were just messing up on all cylinders. Again, the starting lineup, when you look at the box score, they played pretty well. But from everything that they need from the team as a whole, and in terms of being consistent, you just haven't seen it yet from this team yet. In terms of this game, we didn't see a whole lot of consistency from them, unfortunately. So they get a chance to redeem themselves. They do have a back-to-back against the Indiana Pacers. And again, this is another team similar to the Orlando Magic, a rebuilding young team looking to establish themselves. And this is a team that the Pistons should be looking at as an opportunity where they should show the talent and their ability to win against teams that may not be as talented as them. So this is a team that they should be pretty prepared for. I'm hoping that they don't have a lapse. You want to see them play a lot better than they did today, especially defensively. We'll see what happens, though. Very excited to see the next game. Be sure to talk to me in the comment section. I'd love to hear your feedback from tonight's game. What did you think about the Pistons' performance against the Knicks? Again, it's a bit of a beatdown, but I'd love to hear what you thought about the game today. Let me know how you feel about the Pistons in the comment section. Make sure you like the video as well and subscribe to the channel as you're getting closer and closer, scooting up to 5,000 subscribers. Thank you all for tapping that subscribe button and making it happen for us. We're getting closer and closer. Cannot wait till we get to that milestone. Make sure you follow us on our social media channels as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above. We're all over your social media channels. Make sure you search and follow Detroit Sports Nation. And give me a follow as well at I am Eric Vincent so I can stay in tune with you for the rest of the Pistons season, man. I'm really excited to talk NBA hoops with you. And I'll be excited to be back here again with another update right here from the DSN News Desk. Peace.